So, Better Man, this is essentially a music biopic like you have never seen a music biopic before. This is a story of Robbie Williams. Robbie Williams, who was in the group called Take That, which was massive in the UK and across Europe, and I think probably I feel that almost a lot of boy bands were massive in Japan, but not so much in America. And Robbie Williams was the first member to leave Take That, and he has had by far the most impressive solo career out of everybody in Take That. He has been the one he's the star. He's the star of it, and this is essentially a biopic of him that is directed by Michael Gracie. Oh, sorry, I forgot to start the timer. It's directed by Michael Gracie, who did the Greatest Showman, and it's based on he was interviewing Robbie Williams, and Robbie Williams is quite an open book, and he's also quite, in the words of Michael Gracie, an oversharer. So Robbie Williams would tell you everything that happened, who it happened with, how it happened, who he slept with, who he got, Sharon, pardon the term, wanked off in a corridor by, all that kind of stuff. And Robbie Williams would tell you all this stuff, and so Michael Gracie was like, okay, cool. So he's started thinking there's actually like a real story in here that isn't just kind of like in your typical rags to riches A B C D biopic. And then they decided to, instead of having like an actor play Robbie Williams is played, or he's played by a CGI chimpanzee in this film. And it is weird because number one, it immediately makes you go, okay, what is this film? And number two, it works. It really, really works. And I've been trying to figure it. It's the kind of film that makes you start going philosophical. You're kind of going, hang on a second, why the heck does this work? Why the heck does a film with a chimpanzee in the middle of it? Why does a scene between a chimpanzee and his human grandma, played by Alison Steadman, make me feel emotional? Well, and I think it's probably because you're not worried about, oh, has this chimp captured Robbie Williams, or has this actor, how much does this actor look like him? Has he got the voice or anything like that? It's
Because
just
it
kind
does
of,
have the voice, because it's his voice.
it is his voice. It is his voice. Is Robbie Williams' voice. It is not even that. It is Robbie Williams' eyes, because they scanned his eyes and they put his eyes in the chimp's head. Which all sounds very Frankenstein, but it works. And the way, and I think it's a musical because it has all of his songs in it and everything like that. I think it works as a musical because I remember the first song that comes on. I think it might have been "Feel," but the way it is incorporated into the film, I remember watching it going, "Oh, oh, that works." And even with one of my big complaints with musicals recently, especially I think I mentioned this with Moana too, is when you have a song and the song doesn't move the story along, where the story more or less stops to do song, and then the story carries on from exactly where you were before the song came in. And this does not do that. Every single song moves the story along. Every single song moves the character emotionally along. And I think one of the big things about this that sets it apart from a lot of other music biopics for me is the fact that you get to figure out what's going on in his head at each time. And you get to figure out from the very beginning, he tells you, this is what my motivation is, this is what I want to do, this is what my relationship with my father is like, this is why I'm trying to get, this is what I'm trying to go with my, and I think that extra thing of what's actually going on in his head throughout the whole time while all this other stuff was going on was a bit revelatory to me, especially because I lived through a lot of these things. His appearance on Parkinson, I remember watching that live. I remember watching his appearance on Parkinson live. I remember that there was when he played Nebworth. There's this line he says at the beginning of his set in Nebworth. He's like, "Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and for the next 2 hours, your ass is mine." I remember watching that on TV and going, and that was the moment I thought, "My God, he's a showman. This guy has got it. There's something he's next level about him." And then when the film shows you what was going on behind the scenes through all these moments that I remember, I'm like, oh wow, this is it just elevated it to another level to other music biopics. There are all these other things that happen in music biopics, like the rise to fame, the descent into drugs, the the stint in rehab, all those things are there. But this time round, it feels like it's given a different, like I'm not sure that's just because it's the chimp makes you think, doesn't make it makes you feel as if this is something we haven't seen before. But I think also just the peek inside his inner world as to this is what was going on with him. And of oh, and when they play Angels, the way they use the song Angels in the film, it is a gut punch. It is a gut punch. So anyway,
And
Holly,
that's my
Holly, over to
most
you.
irritating. Angel, as a rule of thumb, I find the most irritating song in the entire world.
I love
Can
that song.
overplay.
That has changed my position on it. I didn't think anything could do that because I still stand by the fact it's one of the most overplayed songs ever.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked so well. It
Yeah.
was I'm fairly sure I cried, and
Hmm.
I did not expect to cry at a film with a CGI chimp in it.
Yep.
Um, I thought it was beautifully done. It was so well put together. It was so interesting. It did make you really see what an extraordinary showman he is,
Yeah.
and what a very, yeah, how gifted he is and how he's battled with his own demons
Yeah.
in a hugely human way. And the way they depicted all of these things was
Yeah.
particularly those sort of internal battles was so cleverly done.
I thought the internal battles thing was there's this motif where you have the previous versions of him that you've seen throughout the film, like when he's on stage and he's performing, his biggest critic are his previous versions. Look at him going, "Well, you're not up to much, are you?" And the way they do that is just it's sorry, Holly, I interrupted.
Yeah, but exactly that. It's this absolutely compelling battle with himself, telling
Yeah.
himself that he's not good enough
Yeah.
and having to work through that. And it's spectacular.
Yeah.
I,
There,
I don't
there's
think
a
there's another word for it other than spectacular because it is a spectacle.
yeah, and there is another film. There is a sequence in this that I will recall the Strictly Come Dancing sequence. Holly, you probably can
Yes.
think. Yeah, it's the Strictly Come Dancing sequence. Sharon, I think you'll like it. Essentially, Better Man. I think you would. Even Sean, I think you would like this film as well.
Yeah, I was quite intrigued with it. But I think it's like with Sharon, the times never really, because I did actually plan on going to see it because it did look quite interesting. I mean, I agree with Holly with Angels, and I like some of Robbie Williams stuff, but I guess I was never like a wow. I mean, it was not of my era really, so I wasn't.
Well, yeah,
like,
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
like take that. But having said that, I do like some of the stuff, and I watched because I really like the take that one called "Could It Be Magic?" You know, and
What the song?
Yeah, he
I,
sings on that one, doesn't he?
Yeah.
yeah, I think Sean's just
We've
Sean
lost
is just
Sean.
frozen. Sean's just frozen on my screen. All right, cool.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a very good film. It is a very very good film.
And
And
not just because it's the music of our youth. I mean, it is the music of
yeah.
our youth.
Yeah, I
But
remember because I remember when Angels came out. I remember being that was it would have been 1997 because even 97 or 98. I remember being a prefect in school and being in the prefect's room and that being on the radio, that kind of thing. So it is my childhood, but it did remind me how many bangers I think Robbie Williams has. He has written some really really good songs. Has written some really good songs.
Sean, you
And
got cut off in your prime there, but you're
Yes.
back.
yeah, I know. I don't know what happened there. I thought, what's going on? You all froze. So
Yeah.
and I prattled on. Could you still hear me? But you all
No,
froze.
no, no, no.
No,
You stopped.
that's
You
all right.
stopped. What you stopped? I think the last thing you said was, it was you were talking about
Could It Be
take
Magic?
that song. Yeah, could it be magic?
Could It Be Magic? Yeah, it was like a Children in Need thing with Barry Manilow singing it slow, and then Gary Barlow and Robbie
And he's
Williams come on
backing
and
dancers
yeah, no,
as
brilliant. It was really good. So yeah, so
as
maybe I need to see that. Is there anything to do with Take That in it with like the other?
oh no, yeah, take
Yeah.
that play a big part of the thing.
Right,
Take,
okay.
like
because
so
Because
it's
there
his
was,
whole life
there
going
was
back
that
to his
movie, wasn't there,
childhood.
with the girl that lost her.
greatest days.
I went and saw it with you, Sharon. I think.
Yes, that's right. We saw it about using the music from Take That.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's yeah, so it but I think go see this. It's really really good. It's
Yeah.
it's a surprise. It's a real big surprise.
I'll make a point of trying to get to see it.
I would give it a 4 out of 5. Holly?
I'm going 5.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
Good stuff. I think it genuinely. I know Sean. We had a talk about. I hadn't seen this film by the time when we talk, and we're talking about how we couldn't really think of films that stood out last year.
Yeah.
It genuinely is one of the films of 2024.
Cool, brilliant.
It
Okay.
genuinely is.